Welcome to the GDevelop 5 game development stream, and in this video we are going to be checking for bugs in our game and exporting it to Android. So first of all, I would like to add one more feature here, and that is to save the game in the cloud, which means that we will be saving the game in the user's device also, but at the same time, if their internet is working, we will save the game on the cloud also, right? So let's do that. So in our, I guess we have to call the data saver scene, where it is simply calling the save event, and this save event will save the game. And let me open main menu, and in the events, uh, when I am touching on the wait if I am touching on the leaderboard, so I guess I have to make some changes here. For the stage selector, I must actually tell where the touch or cursor is present, and that should be at the start button. And for this one, for quitting the game, the touch should be at the exit button, right? Exit button. Okay, now it's good. So when we are clicking on the exit button, then we are simply calling the save events. We are not running the data saver scene, and after the save event has run, we are quitting the game. So I want to do one thing between these two. We don't need the data saver scene, as we are not really calling it at all, and you can delete it, but let it be there. Maybe you can just take it as an example. So between saving and quitting the game, I want to save the game on the cloud also, which means that I will send all my important global variables to my server, and then there they will be stored in the database, right? So, and when I will load the game, I will pull the values from the server if the user is logged in, right? So yeah, that should be done. You will do this. I have actually written the script to send the values to the server and save them, and that script is present, I think, in the dashboard. Yeah, you can see that here. No, not here. Not here. In the create account request, I guess that's where it is happening. Yes, in the create account request scene in the events, you can see that we have sent a post request to update game values, and we are putting all the game values here, and then we are receiving back some output, I mean some you know, response from the server. So just copy this to click here and shift select this, and right click and copy, and go to main menu events, and between save and quit you should simply add a new event, and here you can simply paste the actions. So what this will do is, uh, first of all, game will be saved in the user's device, and then this statement, wait, put this at the bottom, first send then parse. This statement will send all the global variables which are important to the server, and then in the server we will simply store those values in the database in the user's record, right? And we will get a response also, but it's not necessary to display the response to the user. right? It's okay, and then we quit the game. So this will happen, and when we are loading the game, we are loading it from the file, right? And I think that is okay. When we are loading the game, we should not load it from the cloud directly. We should just load it from the file, right? And when the user logs in, or when the user opens their dashboard, then we will pull the value from the cloud. But there can be some problem with that, I guess. Uh, the thing is that if the user plays the game and they exit the game, and after exiting the game, they their values will be saved in the cloud and the device, and after exiting the game they open the game again, but when we open the game we are just loading it from the device and not from the cloud. So the thing is that the device will always have the latest save, and the cloud will have an older save. So when the user will so if the user starts playing the game without logging in, then they may make some score, and if they after making the score they come back to the main menu and they log in, then their older save which is present in the cloud will be loaded. So this will mean that uh, whatever was saved in their device was more up to date than what was saved in the cloud in the server. So that is a problem. So first thing which I want to do here is I want to check whether the internet is working in the user's device. So how to do that? I will search Google and see if there is some answer there. Redevelop 5, develop 5, check internet. Yeah, that check for internet connection. Because if internet is not working, then I do not want to start sending a request to the server, right? So it seems that they are just saying that you send a request and if you don't get anything, then that means that your net is not working, right? So we were able to handle that in rest of our scenes in these scenes. But when it comes to saving the game, we are not going to do, you know, uh, we are not going to send the user any message that, oh my god, your net is not working. So the game will only be saved in your device and not on the cloud. Well, uh, okay, we will see how to do that. There is one more thing I would like to do. I will simply, add a new event here, and I want to check when the user exits the game. So I will see if there is any condition which checks for exit. Close. Wait. Uh, I seen mouse enter. So doesn't seem like we have anything to check whether the game has exited or not. Right, so I will simply delete this one. Let's not make it very complicated. I will just simply do this, and if the server is not working or if net is not connected, then this will simply not work and it will skip to the final statement. And uh, when I load the game, then there is a problem that want to I don't want to load the game when I open my dashboard, right? Because if I do that, then there is a chance that I will load an older save which is present in the cloud. So to do away with that problem, it I think we should simply do one thing. Whenever main menu is open, I mean when at the beginning of the scene, that is at the beginning of main menu scene, we save the game, save the game, right, in the device and in the cloud. So that will be kind of helpful. This is an empty event. Let me add the action which I am talking about here. And scene at the beginning of the scene, I will simply again copy these two statements and paste them here. And at the beginning of the main menu scene, I will save the game. Right? Yeah, in the cloud. In the cloud, I will save the game on my server at the beginning of the main menu scene every time. Oh, and that should, if the net is working, then user will be able to, then the user's data will be saved on the internet, and if not, then it will not be saved. So, hmm, hmm. And while saving is happening, I want to show the user some text, right? So that they because while the saving is happening, they will not be able to do anything. So I will create a new object, text object, and call it saving text, and give it a size of 40, I guess, and color white, and just type saving game in cloud. In the cloud. That should be okay. Click on bold and apply, and put this text right here, right? And this should be displayed every time we are saving the game in the cloud, right? And this is important. So here at the beginning of the scene, we should before these two actions, I want to add an action first of all, and choose text object, modify, change text opacity, and choose our saving text and opacity equal to 0. We will make it transparent. No, opacity equal to 255, right? And bring it to the top. First this will happen, then we will send the request, and when we have received something from the server, it may be either a failure or success, we will simply change the opacity to 0, make it invisible. So change it to 0, sorry, 0. Yeah, that's what we will do, and you can simply copy it again to put it here, paste it and put it at the top here like this, and you can copy this again, paste it here and put the value of opacity to 0, and that should tell the user, okay, I'm trying to save the game in the cloud, I may fail, but while I'm doing that we have to wait, right? So that will give the user a message to wait, right? That is important, and I think this solution will be good, and good in ensuring that everything is synchronized. We are not we are not pulling old saves from the cloud, we are pulling the latest saves. Okay, now I will publish the game to my Android phone, and I will play it in my phone and see how well it works. I will put the feed on the video so that you can also see, and we will see if we have any bugs in the game or not. So let me do that. So it is going to package. Now I will pause the video and pause the recording, and when it has packaged and I have put it in my phone, then I will resume it. So I tested my game on my phone, and there are quite a few bugs, and it's not worth showing right now. The first bug is that our virtual keyboard is not working, right? So when I want to log in, I want to type something, right? But in phones we don't have a keyboard, there is a virtual keyboard and it's not working. So I searched in GDevelop forums, and I found that you have to install a extension. There is an extension which you can use to bring up a virtual keyboard. So I will go to my project manager, functions, and under functions and behaviors you can search for new extensions. So there are many of them, you can type something, but you can see over here a virtual keyboard extension, right? You can click here, and here you can see mobile virtual keyboard for text entry. So I will click on this, and it says allow to open and close the virtual keyboard on mobile, iOS, Android to be used with text entry objects. Actions to open and close the keyboard are added. You can then use the text entry as usual. So I will install in project. So I guess it got installed. I will close it, and now we have to do something. Wherever we are, I think wherever we are calling the text entry object, there we have to add an action to open the virtual keyboard, right? So I guess that needs to be done. And where are we doing that? I guess first of all in the login scene, we have two text objects, and so here we are activating the capture, right? And here also, right? So I think I will add the action to open the virtual keyboard, and you can see at the very bottom mobile virtual keyboard for text entry. There is a mobile virtual keyboard and open mobile keyboard. What is this function? Open mobile keyboard for username text. Oh, I have to first attach the behavior to my, wait, what is this? Oh, I will first choose the scene and choose the object username text. Now this is attached to my username text. I will cut it and I will do it at the beginning of the scene. It does not say anything, and let it be this way. I have the text entry virtual keyboard here on created and all. I have so many functions, so let's leave it at that. I do not want to mess with it. So this was for username text, and I will add another one for password text. Let me just copy this and paste it here, and I will now do it for password text. Now it has been attached to both, and here I think now I can add the open the keyboard. Oh, I see. I have to do it in the scene. Open the username text. I think I have to do it like this: edit object and choose behavior, add a behavior, and here I will add mobile virtual keyboard, mobile text entry virtual keyboard behavior and apply. I will do it for the password also. I think I did it for the password only. No, I did it for the username. So, oh, I have already, I guess, password text, and yeah, this one and apply. So I have added to both of them the behavior text entry virtual keyboard, right? And now I think I will be able to open and close the keyboard virtual keyboard. In the activate section you can simply open the keyboard, open mobile keyboard and choose username text, and in the password white screen section you can simply choose to open the mobile keyboard for the password text, and in the inactivation part where I am doing activate capture no, there you can close the virtual keyboard, right? And I will do this open close mobile virtual keyboard for username text, and then here um, close mobile keyboard for password text and click on OK, and there you have it. I think now when I will touch on this white screen, I will be, I mean, in my phone the virtual keyboard will open. So I have to do this for all the scenes in which I am taking some text input from the user. So we have done it in the login scene. The next one can be create account scene, right? We have two text entry objects. So in the username, first edit it and choose the behavior mobile virtual keyboard and apply. And then for password also do the same thing, apply, and that's it, I guess. And now in the events you have to, now in the username wide screen you can activate the text I mean virtual keyboard for username, and in the password wide screen activate it for password text entry object, right? And and where activate capture is no, you can close the text I mean the virtual keyboard for username text entry first, uh, right? And then the password text entry later. right? So that should do. That is looking good, right? And now, where else have we taken input? We have taken it in password reset, right? In this one. So we need to do it for three text entry objects. Password text, behaviors, add behavior, and mobile virtual keyboard. Username text, behaviors, add behavior, mobile virtual keyboard. And there was one more, code text, behaviors, add behavior, mobile virtual keyboard. So we have done that, and now in the events, first of all, when we activate the username widescreen, then we will activate the virtual keyboard for username text object, then for password text object, and then for code text object. And when we release the mouse from there, and then we will close the mobile virtual keyboard, first of all for username, and then for password, and then for code, right? So that's good, and it looks okay. Now where else did we take input? In change profile picture, we are not taking any text input, so we don't have to do it here. And where else? Account deletion confirmation, also we are not taking any text input, right? So I guess in login screen, create account screen, and password reset screen only, we are taking text entry, right? Text input. So I think that is okay. In no other scene we are taking any text input. So I hope, and that looks good. And now there was one more issue, and that was that we have not, in this project we have not put touch inputs here, right? So let me put that in an earlier repository for this game only. We have seen how to put touch controls, and I have put it in that one, and it's actually the standalone version. So I have made the videos for that, you can watch them, but I am going to just copy the, you know, uh, this these two icons because I need them. I'll put them in my repository for the current version of the game. Oh, I already have them. No, it seems I don't. I will have to change their name and then put them. I will change it to jump icon, and this one to fire icon, and I will simply cut them and put them in my current repository. There you go. There they are. And I would also like to copy the Android icon. And I have these, but I want the source image, which is inside this one, Ninja Girl new PNG. And this one is the source. It's written idle 00 source. I will simply copy this and paste it in my repo folder like this, and I will use it to generate icons for my game. And now I have to do these things also. Let me put the icons for touch controls. add a new object sprite and call it what should I call it, attack icon, and animation default, simply add an image, and the image name was fire, right? There it is, fire icon. That's good. Apply. You can drag it here, right? And then I will again add a new object sprite and I will call it jump icon and add animation and default. Simply add an image. The image name is jump icon only. There it is. Jump icon. Apply and then put the jump icon below the fire icon. Right? Maybe a little bit distance will be good. Yeah. So that's looking okay. Now I have to simulate the touch controls for these two icons. I will go to my you know events, and I am doing that whenever. Okay, I will remove first of all this one. I don't need touch as ended. We are not checking for touch because touch is being simulated by left mouse button. So I will simply delete this statement, and here I am saying that left mouse button was simply released, but I also want to say that left mouse button was released when it was on top of the jump icon. So I will do this. Mouse and touch is on the jump icon, and then I will simulate the jump key press for the ninja guard. And here also you can simply say none of the buttons was released. I think I can remove the left mouse button command. And here for right mouse button, I also want to check if the ninja girl is, I mean the cursor or touch is on, you know, the attack icon. So I will remove the touch as ended because I don't want to test for it. And here I will simply see if my cursor or touch is on my jump icon, sorry, attack icon, right? So here also attack icon. So now this looks good. Hmm. Okay. Let's test it. My attack button is not working properly. So let's see what's the problem here. Oh, right mouse button. I should choose left mouse button only because I am not pressing right mouse button or checking for right mouse button at all. Right, so that should be done. So the pause scene is also not working very properly. The thing is that I have checked the presence of mouse inside pause button like this, which is not a very good way to do. I will simply choose this action, this condition. right cursor slash touches on object and pause button. So that will be a more accurate test, right? And so this looks okay. And now let's see the pause button. What's the issue with the pause screen? Here also I think, yeah, I'm testing it this way, which is not a very good way to test the presence of mouse inside a button. So I will just choose mouse and touch, and I will choose main menu text. No, this is the other text. This is the continue text, and this one is the main menu text. Main menu text. Okay, cool. Save. Now it should work. Let's test. It's not working. First of all, let me add the same code on stage 2 also, and the same icons. Add a new object sprite and attack icon, attack icon, and default. Simply add one, and then add one for jump icon. This is the jump icon, right? Looks okay, right? So now to add some actions. I mean some yeah, events. Remove the touch as ended checking, and left mouse button was released and it was on top of the jump icon. And here you can remove touch as ended, right mouse button was released. And here instead of right mouse button you choose the left mouse button, and here also instead of right mouse button just choose the left mouse button, and the mouse or touch should be on top of the attacking icon, right? Attack icon. Here also attack icon. So that looks good. I will now check the presence of mouse or touch inside pause button using this statement simply. This condition. And pause button is where is pause button? There it is. So now this should work. And yeah, let me again see pause screen, and why the hell is it not working? When I'm releasing left mouse button, if I do it like this, then will it work? It is our continue text and my left mouse button was released, then stop the scene and go back to previous scene. It should work. It's working. Yeah, it's working. So no problem in that, right? So that's okay. And it's working. That's good. If I now I can export the game and test it on my phone, I guess. So it seems that we have solved all the bugs which we knew. So let me now again publish the game on Android. Right, and first of all, which scene will come first? It should be the data loader scene, that scene should be run first. So move up, move it up, move it up. Okay, it should also be the splash screen, right? Oh, we don't have the splash screen here. So let's forget about it. But we saw how to make splash screen in the standalone version of the game. That is the version without networking, right? So that's okay. We know how to do that. But we will not do it in this one. We'll just have the data loader. It will load the data if it is present. And if it is not present, it will not load it. So that's okay. That's good. Hmm. Let me now publish the game. Okay, first of all, icons. I need to add some icons also. So I can generate icons from a file, and that's why I have copied that particular source file just now. Yeah, there it is. And and you can see that all the icons are not generated. You can edit them, but I won't recommend. Just simply click on apply, and you have all your icons. We have seen how to see resize icons in the video in which we uh, published the standalone version of the game, so you can watch that and download the source for the standalone version. And now let me publish the game to Android, and I will do it. I will pause the recording, and when I would have downloaded and installed the game in my phone, then I will resume the recording again and put the feed on the video so that you can also see it. So I have put the game in my phone, and now let me run it. So you can see that if I go to login and if I touch on the field, you can see that now keyboard is coming up. Earlier it was not coming. So unless you do the virtual keyboard thing, the keyboard will not come. So now I can log in, and there are still some small issues like the uh, text field gets hidden behind the input keyboard, but you can solve those problems yourself by just shifting the text a little above so that the keyboard does not hide it. So right, it's not a very difficult solution, but it will take some time. So you can see that I'm able to log in, I'm able to change my profile picture, and so uh, you know that's working. I'm able to see my score and coins, and I can delete my account if I want, but I will not. So I will go to main menu, and now I can see my upgrades, right? I can I I can upgrade the damage, and now it is so much. So the thing is that I can see the leaderboard, local leaderboard, and I can see myself here, and yeah, right. and I can see the global leaderboard, which is these people, right? And I can start the game also. I mean, I have already unlocked area 2, so I can play directly area 2. So this is also working well, and the touch is also working pretty well. So, and with that said, there will be some bugs in games. I mean, you have to keep playing your game, testing it again and again, and keep finding out what bugs you are facing and try to fix them. Maybe there is some spelling error, maybe there is some logic error somewhere in your code. So that is you know, forever ongoing process where most of the time you may never get rid of all the bugs, but you should try getting rid of the bugs which are breaking the game, right? You should get rid of game breaking bugs and release your game. And as you keep encountering more and more bugs, you keep fixing them and keep publishing updates to your game. So that is the way you should do it. You should not focus on that. You have to eradicate all the bugs from the beginning, because that is not very easy to do. So with that said, so we have tested it and we have added the text input and all. It's all working. There may be some bugs, and we will keep, and we will see if you encounter some bugs, you can try fixing them. If you can't fix them, you can, you know, comment in the below the video, and maybe I will try to help you out in some way if you encounter any bugs, that is. So yeah, that's it for this video, and we will see in the next video what we can do with what more things we can do with the game. And that is, maybe you want to change the, you know, art, change your art. This looks very plain. You can put some interesting art by downloading it from the web, or you can buy some art, right? So we'll see how to approach that in the next video. So if you are enjoying this stream, please join me in the next video as well. Thank you for watching.